Welcome to the C3PO show. I'm your co-host, Corey Sullivan.
I'm Austin Lersten. What's up, everybody?
What's up, Austin? Good to see you. Still down in LA doing the thing.
We're back
Good to
in
see
here.
you.
Yeah, great to see you as well. We got a little beach behind you. I was at Manhattan Beach today. Went out on the pier. Saw a few surfers out there today. So that means the weather's heating up, getting like nice and 75. I know we got some people watching in Seattle. I apologize, but I don't. So I'm enjoying it out here. Beautiful weather and a beautiful day. Great to see you.
Man, we love having you out here. I'm over in the Central Coast. It was maybe 75, maybe 80, maybe pushing 80. So, yeah, it was a beautiful day here in California, in Central California. But glad to see you. Glad to hear from you. Today we kicked off the NFL free agency. I know you and I have been texting back and forth all day. And Luke Jokel, shout out to him. Hopefully he has a good year, 1 year, $8 million. But we're not going to break into that today. That'll be for another day. Right now we're going to talk about the quarterbacks of the 2017 Combine. And Austin, what do you think? There was the big three going into it with Mitchell Trubisky. He decided to change from Mitch Trubisky, and now he's a grown-up. So he's going to Mitchell Trubisky and Deshaun Watson and Deshaun Kaiser. Those were the big three heading into it. But what did you see that you liked or didn't like from Deshaun Watson to start off?
Yeah, I think Deshaun Watson proved that he's going to give you everything that you want in your star quarterback. I think in this day and age, I think for quite a while now, ever since Manning came into the league, it's been a quarterback's league. You need to have a quarterback to win. And I think that even more so, Tom Brady's been dominating. Look at all the quarterbacks that have won Super Bowls look at all the teams that win in the playoffs, not just get to the playoffs, but actually win games in the playoffs. And they all have quarterbacks, and you need your guy. And so it's definitely between these three guys. And usually out of the draft, you'll get one, maybe two franchise guys. And I think Deshaun Watson is the franchise guy. I think the other two may be good, may have a chance. Actually, I shouldn't say both of them, but Deshaun Watson definitely is that stud player that you want on your team to go out there and throw for you any given Sunday. He almost reminds me a little bit of a Jameis Winston, to be honest with you, without that hype. He's a leader in the locker room. Everybody loves him. He can be athletic. He can move around in the pocket. He can run around. And the thing that I really like about him when I watch his highlight tapes is he makes all the throws that you want to make. He may have had a few off games or might not have played well, but I feel like that's anybody. And I feel like in college, if you have a few off games, I don't know why he's getting docked so far down differently than any other quarterback. When he gets his opportunity, he balls out. And just look at the national championship. I mean, he went to the national championship twice in 2 years. First of all, that never happens. And he balled out in both games. Both games he came out just on fire from beginning to end. He gave his team a chance to win in the latest national championship. He won the game. I mean, I don't know what else you want from a quarterback. I think of Deshaun Watson as Andrew Luck, to be honest with you. That same hype, that saying this is going to be the guy that's going to come in and change your franchise. The rest of the league doesn't think so. I don't know why not, but he's the guy. What did you see out of him in the combine that you like?
Man, I think that was a perfect explanation of what Deshaun Watson is. He's a winner. He's a leader. And it really doesn't make any sense. Why wouldn't you want a guy like that has been winning and is used to winning? Something that Jared Goff, last year's #1 pick, never did in college. He never really won games. Had a hot start that last season there and then tailed off at the end. So I really don't know what this whole NFL league that goes towards like fantasy stats and whatnot, but I want my quarterback to be able to win games. Joe Montana, arguably one of the best quarterbacks of all time, didn't have 4,000, 5,000, passing yards. He wasn't the prolific passer that someone like Drew Brees is, but he won games and won championships. And I don't think the 49ers or their fan base would ever trade Joe Montana and what he provided for that organization for somebody that put up more stats. I don't think, Marino would be wanted in that stature, but it is what it is. And I think that Deshaun Watson, like you said, is one of those amazing quarterbacks that comes around once in a while that could potentially have his team in the playoffs each and every year. And, Andrew Luck, although, some things haven't gone his way as of recently, the team's just this here and there. But, yeah, he's one of those guys that can change the outlook of your organization. And it could be the Browns, it could be the 49ers, it could be anybody that he changes their fortune. But he is worth one of those top picks, and I really like, everything that he provides for a team. But moving on, we have Mitchell Trubisky. That was really the other guy that really stood out to me during the combine. And he didn't really perform worse than Deshaun Watson, but it was just not as good. I feel like, Deshaun Watson maybe just slided him out in the majority of the events. But Trubisky, he surprised me. I didn't have a whole lot of expectations. I'd never really seen him heading into, this postseason. I didn't really watch much ACC football. Outside of Clemson, the division isn't particularly the most impressive. They have some good teams in there, but I really didn't check out Trubisky, and he opened my eyes. He was a lot faster and really good footwork. A lot of his throws were on the money, and he looked at least just as good as Watson. I just liked Watson's winning resume more than I liked Trubisky. But what about you? What did you see from Trubisky?
Yeah, Trubisky, the thing I really liked about him is he kind of looks like just an athlete, somebody who can go and play any sport at any given time and he's going to play well. He's strong, he's fast, he can move around in the pocket, he can do a little bit of this, a little bit of that. He's got a good deep ball. I like this deep ball. When I was watching some of his tape, I don't know if I like some of his shorter intermediate routes or throws, I should say. But he's a solid project, I would say, for a team. He doesn't seem like someone who's going to come in and light the league up. I don't see that star potential off the bat like I do with Watson. But he does seem like somebody, if you give him a couple years, groom him a little bit, almost a Carson Wentz from last year. A lot of people like what they saw to Carson Wentz in his first year, but they understand like this guy's going to be a little bit of a project. He's going to be someone you're going to need to work with and give him a little bit of time to develop. So that's kind of what I saw in Mr. Mitchell. But nothing like Deshaun Watson. I mean, I just think Deshaun Watson proved himself to be in a different class than even Mitchell Trubisky from North Carolina. And like you said, I didn't watch a lot of ACC. North Carolina isn't really a powerhouse throughout the nation, not getting a lot of primetime games. So didn't get a lot to watch him. But, I checked out some of his stuff on YouTube, did a little bit of research on him. And yeah, I think he's got a chance to be good in the league, but definitely a project player.
Yeah, most definitely a project player. I think Watson, although Watson wouldn't come into the league and immediately, be on his Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson grind, there would definitely be an adjustment period, as it has been for everybody. It's a little unrealistic for guys. I think that guys are going to come in and just, win a Super Bowl off the bat. There's no Magic Johnsons in this draft, I don't believe. But moving on to the third monster, if you will, of this three-headed trio would be DeShone Kizer. Kizer, to be honest with you, I hadn't been impressed with all year long, and he was number one on a lot of draft boards pretty much the whole season. And I tried to watch, and I just didn't get it. There wasn't anything spectacular, and kind of Lamar Jackson had college football's attention for the majority of the season. But Kizer he seemed like a decent quarterback. I just don't want to say elite. And, I could see why people weren't impressed that this wasn't a really heavy quarterback class. Not that a lot of them have been in recent years, but definitely this year it's either Watson or Trubisky. And Kizer, I'm not really seeing the superstar potential. Now, a lot of people like his size, and I know that you like the comparison of Steve McNair by your boy Steve McNair.
That would be my favorite player when I was growing up, Steve McNair. And, yeah, this guy is not even close to Steve McNair. He does hope to one day be a Steve McNair. That'll never happen with DeShone Kizer. I will guarantee we're going to put a C-3PO stamp. DeShone Kizer will never reach anything even close to what Steve McNair gave to you throughout his career.
So that's Austin's outlook on DeShone Kizer. And I can't say that I don't disagree with him. I think it's a little ridiculous, some of the comparisons anyway. Each individual player is who they are. That's the reason that Steve McNair is not really compared to anybody else, because he's Steve McNair. So, yeah, to get a comparison like that is a little unrealistic. But I think Kaiser's okay. I think he could be one of those plug a hole quarterback. You know, those teams that are Brock Osweiler light. I think he could go in there and be decent enough to potentially pull off a wild card, maybe somewhere in his career. But I just don't see the superstar potential. I can't imagine looking at the Super Bowl or even the NFC AFC championship game and seeing Cam Newton versus Deshaun Kaiser's team. I'm just not seeing it. But yeah, I mean, I know you don't like the comparison with Steve McNair, but what do you think of what you saw from Kaiser in his combine?
Yeah, Deshaun Kaiser is a 4th-round pick at best. That at the very best. His footwork is awful. I swear to you. Look at just watch his feet for a second. It's real bad. His mechanics don't look good. He's got a long windup. He's got that Tim Tebow thing going on there, and he doesn't make throws. So I don't get. He's tall and he's kind of big. He's 6'4", 233. So he's a big, strong guy, tall. I mean, I get that. I think that Brock Osweiler is probably the best comparison you could have come up with. Somebody who is overrated going into the draft. Someone who you do not want your team to select, but someone's going to reach. Someone's about to come from the top of the 2nd round, trade into the 1st round, and then he's going to suck, and he's not going to do anything for your team, and he's not going to perform. And yeah, maybe like you said, maybe if he has a good defense, maybe they'd be able to pull him tug of war. It's like him versus the whole team.
Like Mark Sanchez early in his career.
Exactly, just like Mark Sanchez. That's an even better comparison. He's a Brock Osweiler, Mark Sanchez type guy. I even think Mark Sanchez is better than him, actually. But yeah, I don't see this guy doing anything special, and I don't expect him to be in the league. Maybe he's going to get one contract. I don't even think he's going to get the Brock Osweiler contract. I think he gets his one contract, and maybe his size appeals to some other team, and they let him sit on the bench for a while. But this is another Geno Smith, Mark Sanchez, one of those guys. So please tell your GM, stay away, Deshaun Kaiser. He's the overrated QB of the draft.
All right.
And just to add to it, just watch his 40 and just tell me if that's the way you want your quarterback running. Unless he's named Tom Brady, I'd never want to see my quarterback run the way this guy runs. It's just the most unathletic thing I've ever seen in my life. The strides are like I swear each stride looked different to me. It's like one was longer, then he had a short stride, then a long stride. I was like, what? He doesn't even run correctly. So I'm not seeing a lot. And he goes to Notre Dame, so he's got a lot of things working against him.
All right. So I guess that's how you feel about Deshaun Kaiser. And touche. But we'll move on a little bit. Some of the less known quarterbacks. This is a quarterback that I really liked in the combine. I didn't know or hear a whole lot about during the season, but his name is Joshua Dobbs, Tennessee quarterback. And he played really well this last year. Had almost 3,000 passing yards and upper 20 touchdowns, low, not even to the teens yet in interceptions. And then he had another 800 rushing yards with 12 touchdowns on top of that. His team finished in the top 25, and the Tennessee Vols, they had something working there. There's another guy that we'll talk about in another episode that is in the backfield there at Tennessee. And, the Vols, I feel like I slept on them all season long. I like Dobbs, and I don't think that he's first-round potential, but he's definitely a project. Definitely, I wouldn't feel sad or disappointed if he stepped into the game and finished off a game for me. I think he's definitely a guy that could back up somebody like Russell Wilson or Carson Palmer, if he could groom behind somebody. Definitely not a franchise guy, I don't believe yet. But, somebody that can win a game, that can, is not a liability on the field. And he had a great combine, showed great footwork, great passes, and accuracy, arm strength. He showed it all, and I was really impressed. One of the guys that I didn't really know a whole lot about, and the combine really showed him off, and I think he moved up a lot of people's draft boards.
Yeah, he looked good. He especially looked good at the combine, like you said. His tape at Tennessee wasn't the greatest. But he was a good quarterback. definitely a guy. He also reminds me kind of a Terrell Pryor, someone who even when they were playing, reminded me more of a running back or wide receiver, someone who needs to convert to a different position. But yeah, or could be a backup QB that you want to groom for maybe 3 or 4 years and see what they can do. I don't think he's going to come out the gate. I don't think he's a top tier talent, someone who's going to throw the ball all around the field and make all the throws that you want from an NFL quarterback. But yeah, he's got some zip on his ball, and he's really athletic. And the way he moves he reminds me of a wide receiver out there. So maybe somebody who could come in the league, try and be a quarterback, and if that doesn't work out, he looks good at a receiver too.
Yeah. And another quarterback, this quarterback actually was ranked higher in a lot of drafts than Deshaun Watson. I was really surprised because I'm not a stats guy, so I didn't really see his statistical production and why he would be ranked higher than Deshaun Watson. But Patrick Mahomes, I believe, is how you say his name, Texas Tech quarterback, and had 2 really great seasons back-to-back, over 4,600 passing yards in both seasons and over 36 touchdowns in both as well. Interceptions dropped as he got older, which is what you want to see from a guy getting better and playing the position well. And he had monster numbers, absolutely. And, he had a great showing at the Combine. And to be honest, I'm interested to see what he could do in the NFL. I don't know if he's, one of the sleeper guys. I didn't see the superstar potential, but definitely a starter. You look down the list, there's 32 starters, 32 jobs at quarterback in the NFL, and I think he could play one of them. I don't know if I would want him on my Super Bowl caliber rebuilding team, but he looked decent. What did you see from Patrick Mahomes, I believe?
Yeah, Patrick Mahomes, I checked him a little bit out when he was in college, just because that offense was electrifying offense. And will probably continue to be after he's gone. He's definitely a system quarterback, so you always worry about that. Like, is this guy gonna be able to translate that to the NFL? A lot of those guys can't. But he reminded me. I don't know if you remember. It was one of the first games I bought when I was a little kid, and I used to play it on the PC with the CD disc, the CD-ROM. I don't know if any of you kids remember that. I put it in. It was called Backyard Football. Remember that backyard baseball? That's what he reminds me of. He's just kind of someone who can go out there, sling it around. He'll run around and just you'll be like, how'd that guy make that throw? And he does it. I watched one of his highlights. They had a triple flea flicker. They threw it back once, and then they threw it back again back to him. And so I thought that was kind of cool. So definitely a different system. He's allowed to do a lot of different things. Not somebody who has great footwork in the pocket. They always try to roll him out, get him moving a little bit. So he would be a project. Almost, I would compare him to, if he were to be in the league for a while, almost like a Brian Hoyer type. Someone who isn't going to shine for your squad. But yeah, at some point he may get his shot in the NFL and, maybe a top 25 quarterback.
Definitely a fair assessment. And so those are 2 that we found that the Combine really helped. I didn't know a whole lot about Joshua Dobbs, and I got to see more of Patrick Mahomes. Not that I didn't know about him. I just heard more about him, saw more about him. Another guy that I didn't know more about that had an absolutely amazing Combine is Trevor Knight. Trevor Knight out of Texas A&M, balled out. Fastest 40 for all quarterbacks, was just a tremendous athlete. But you turn around and look at the tape, look at his production, and he's not that good of a quarterback. I definitely wouldn't want him on my practice squad. I don't feel like my defense would learn anything from this guy, but athletically, he's just an incredible, incredible athlete. So I guess that's the Combine showing you that, we saw a couple instances of guys that were just absolutely great, and we got the Combine to see some of those guys to let their light shine, some that didn't get the national attention of a Deshaun Watson, of a Mitchell Trubisky. But, then again, there's also those guys like Trevor Knight who just aren't as talented statistically and on the field, but just have crazy measurables, crazy athleticism. But did you get to see Trevor Knight, and what did you think of him?
Yeah, I got to watch a little bit of his tape, and yeah, he's just a bad quarterback. I don't think it's almost like it almost drafting the guy who has the best dunk in college basketball. The guy who can just dunk on anybody and make these crazy athletic dunks. But he's not going to help your team. Like you say, he's not going to help your practice squad. He won't even help you with recruiting. So best of luck to him, and hopefully he makes a squad doing something. But I don't think it'll be as a quarterback.
Yeah, you got to be right. He's, if anything, one of those projects, what they call them specialty players or something like that, where they try to move them to another position, or just gets drafted based off athleticism alone, and they see what they can do and where they can put him, maybe on a special teams or something. But yeah, like you said, best of luck. Definitely nothing against him. It's not a quarterback that I want on my team.
Or around my team.
Or around my team. But that about wraps it up. Austin, great to talk to you about quarterbacks. Definitely, guys, check out our next podcast about the running backs, and we'll keep going. Wide outs, defensive ends, all of it. Austin, thank you. As always good to see you. Hopefully you're doing great out there in LA right before you shine. And you got anything else to say, man? Definitely say something.
No, that's it, man. Peace and much love to you, everybody.
All right. Peace. We'll see you guys next time.